Thank you, Professor Jajak Park, for having me here, and thank you to the whole Yonsei staff, and thank you to NATO. Thank you, Professor Rich, for moderating, and it's great to meet and connect with everyone via Zoom, including Dr. Igata, Dr. Bristow, Professor Cappy, and Sophie. My name is Inhwan. I am Executive Director and Senior Research Fellow at the East Asia Institute in Seoul, and I've been also lecturing at Seoul National University since last semester. My remarks today draw on 3 lines of analysis from last January that I have observed, including a short piece I co-authored with EAI's President Choi Sung-chun for the Council on Foreign Relations. It's titled New Spheres of Conflicting Orders, which is also part of the contributions that Council of Councils members have made to the CFR in response to the official release of the 2025 National Security Strategy document. You can look it up if you're interested. And my own presentation at the EAI public seminar on February 9th, as well as insights from other fellow panelists at the same seminar. I drawn this analysis because I thought this analysis speaks directly to the questions presented by the organizers. So I will go through each in turn. So first of all, why is it important for South Korea to partner with NATO? In that CFR piece, we argue that the world is not returning to either 19th century spheres of influence politics or a great power concert, as suggested by some experts or pundits, because there's no explicit or implicit consensus among the great powers about the order they seek to shape or build, especially between the United States and China. Instead, what we are witnessing here is an unstable hybrid order where different organizing principles coexist and collide without proper settlement or proper coordination at the strategic level. For South Korea and other middle powers in the Pacific and Euro-Atlantic alike, I think the greatest threat is this fragmentation of the order itself, not a single power's domination or America's relative decline. And the pressing following risk is that the Indo-Pacific becomes a closed arena of great power entitlement, where non-great powers like South Korea lose strategic autonomy and room for political choices. But the case for partnering with NATO also goes beyond these abstract principles. As I presented at the EAI seminar, we are in the midst of a US-China naval power transition. China's Navy has surpassed the U.S. naval fleet in combat vessels numbers, and America's collapsed shipbuilding industrial base cannot be quickly rebuilt. So Washington is shifting towards a networked maritime strategy, one that directly depends on allied shipbuilding, maintenance, and technological capabilities, especially the industrial capacities of South Korea, Japan, Canada, Australia, and Finland. So NATO-IP4 is one of the few platforms that can connect Indo-Pacific and Euro-Atlantic maritime capacities across this network, should this opportunity be seized well. On the other hand, as other panelists emphasized at the same seminar, we need to think beyond the traditional alliance frame as well. The scope of security has expanded. So for example, over 90% of emerging and disruptive technologies now originate in the civilian sector. NATO-IP4 can evolve not just as a military and naval partnership, but as a networked security governance structure that is focused on resilience, partnership, technology standards, including appropriate AI regulations and civil-military ecosystem integration. So what South Korea gains from this partnership is not just membership in a bloc, it is positioning as an indispensable node in a trusted technological and industrial ecosystem that spans 2 regions, especially in this era of global de-risking and supply chain reorganization. So what are the key shared challenges? The first, as Ambassador also well noted, the Russia-Ukraine war has catalyzed structural convergence of Euro-Atlantic and Indo-Pacific security. The alignment among China, Russia, North Korea, Iran is not a set of separate regional problems. It is a Eurasian scale geopolitical challenge, although it is debatable whether the scope and degree of this alignment is robust and sustainable. So for example, North Korea's deployment to Ukraine combined with access to Chinese prohibited goods and Russian combat data could accelerate North Korean AI and drone capabilities in ways that directly threaten both regions simultaneously moving forward. So second, defense supply chains have become strategic assets in their own right, and the Russia-Ukraine war exposed severe shortages in NATO production capacity, ammunition stockpiles, and critical minerals. And NATO's 2024 roadmap identifying 12 critical raw minerals from raw earth to lithium makes clear that IP4 countries are essential partners for ally shoring and supply chain diversification. So what else we can do? I like to discuss the 3 priorities that might emerge from the collective analysis I have observed. First is the maritime industrial network dimension of NATO-IP4, because the Trump administration is not actively deepening middle power networking within this framework, but the structural demand is enormous. Middle powers like Korea, Japan, Australia, Canada, Finland could consider taking the initiative to build lateral connections in shipbuilding, joint MRO capacity, and advanced maritime technology using AUKUS Pillar 2, ITP-PP, and NATO's Diana Accelerator. And second, build what one panel called Trusted Ecosystem for Advanced Technological. This means moving from declaratory cooperation to practical public-private partnership structures, connecting Korean companies, AI, semiconductor manufacturing capabilities with NATO's Diana test centers, innovation ranges, and the rapid adoption action plan that aims to get new technologies from concept to deployment within 24 months. I would like to just wrap it up with how to improve public understanding and resilience to disinformation. I think disinformation about NATO IP4 typically exploits two narratives. That is, this is an Asian NATO designed for bloc politics. And the other one is it draws Asian countries into distant conflicts. And I think the most effective counter is not more propaganda. It is more credibility, transparency, and concrete framing. And one of our panels even suggests that we may need to explicitly state that this partnership is not intended to antagonize China to avoid falling into the trap of such disinformation. We need to consistently explain that NATO IP4 is about building a shared ecosystem for resilience, one that benefits ordinary citizens through supply chain stability, cybersecurity, technological access, and maritime network and conflict prevention. Our hub just already demonstrated effective approaches through hybrid threat simulations exercises with students and professionals, make this threat tangible in ways that policy briefs simply cannot. But we may scale this, develop them into annual signature events, and build out Friends of the Hub networks involving corporate actors, media companies, and defense industry partners who can amplify our reach. I think that's all I prepare. Thank you for your attention.